This
Begin.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, sorry. So before jumping right into the automation and tools and the robot framework and Selenium, okay, I'll just spend like 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes on this guy, like what is automation, why it's required, and why do we do it? Okay, so basic question whenever which comes into my mind, like why do we need an automation testing? Okay, so I think it can come across to anyone else's mind. So the basic answer I got is, so for if I have a certain task which I have to do again and again, okay, so why not to automate it and let it run or let it do it for myself, right, rather than wasting time on that. Okay, so this is one of the reason that we can think about, like to save some time and to focus on some other activities rather than just doing the same work again and again. Okay, and the second stuff is like multiple browsers. So I just put it here. It's only for web automation. Okay, so say in automation in web testing, okay, you are doing some task. Say you're testing a, a bank application or any application for yourself. Okay, and you have tested that certain test cases, certain features in one browser, for example IE, and then you want to test the same stuff in another browser, say Chrome or Edge or Safari, right? So that's kind of again a repetitive task. So why not we can automate that, right? So just automate in one of the browsers, say in Chrome, right, and then just let it run in IE, Firefox, whatever the browser you want, right? So it will help you to save some time. Okay, and multiple devices. So multiple devices, I put it here because you may want to test your application on multiple mobile devices. For example, you have Samsung, you have iPhone, right, and you have a different variant of Android phones. You have LG, Pixel, all that stuff. So why not create certain so if you have to test all those different combinations of devices with different OS versions, right? So it's kind of a repetitive task. So I'll give you one example. Say you log into your bank application, right? So now as an automation, as a tester, right, if you are testing that application, you have been given a task to test that particular piece of functionality. So you test that in iPhone, say iOS 12. Okay. Now there's a requirement to test the same thing in Google Pixel 6, whatever it is, what's the name it is. So it's kind of the same task, but you're using a different devices, right? So we can leverage automation in that. So let's write a script for one or two one devices and let it run for the other devices as well. So in nutshell, we can say that to the automation that we do here in the testing to save some time, so to so that you can focus on the actual another work. The repetitive task should be done by automation. Okay, that's a little bit small introduction, like why do we need automation. Okay, yeah. So what are the different applications that you can test with the automation testing, like that you can think of doing the automation? As we have already discussed, like we can test some web-based applications, right? For example, Facebook.com, it's a web-based application. Then you have a ebay.com, and then you have a amazon.com. So all those are web-based applications, so you can test you can have some automation around those applications. And then these are desktop applications. Say you have Microsoft Office on your system, or you have some banking software which is running on your actual computer system, say Windows or your Mac system, right? And you want to leverage some automation around that, then you can also do that. Then there's the mobile. I think we have already discussed about the mobile automation. So like you have application for your banks, maybe RBC Bank, or for like application for mobile for facebook.com, right? And for eBay and for Amazon, you have applications for your mobile. So you can have some automation around that to save some time for repetitive tasks. Okay, and these are like I just list on the all the major areas, but it's not limited to that. So you can leverage automation testing in other areas as well. So one of the example is like you can test some soap request, some API request. You have an option to automate those. So these are some different areas where you can leverage automation. I just write down the three which are the which which we mostly interact, which we mostly see, but there are more than that. Okay. Okay, so now we have discussed like what is automation, why do we automation, and what are the different applications that we can automate. Okay, okay. I think we have already discussed this guy. It's like automation testing is a process in which various softwares and tools are used to evaluate the functionality slash performance of the application. So we have discussed like this one. So and similarly, you can do some other task with the automation. For example, you have some boring administration task for sending the automated emails daily to your boss, or anything that you can think like it's repetitive and you can get rid of it by automating it. So you can think of the automation testing around that, or maybe just say, take the word testing, you can think of the automation, doing automation around that. Okay, I'll give you one example. Yeah. Like we see automation daily in our life. So in your home, if you see in older age, people used to do the laundry with their own hands and with some it's kind of a manual process. But now we have all have washing machine in our homes, right? So we just put our clothes over there, it does the laundry for us. So it's kind of a automation, right? So it's like a getting rid of the repetitive tasks that you do daily, and so that you can save some time, you can focus on some other task. Another example I can think of like you do dishes daily, right? So in home, you can do the dishes by your hand. That's a manual task, you have to do it daily. Or you can have a dishwasher in your home and you just put the dishes in that, and it will be done automatically by the dishwasher. So yeah, so you can think of automation and in your practical life as well. Okay, right now we are mostly focusing on the automation testing in the QA field. So in the software testing field, how automation testing can be helpful. So we have like already discussed, we can use automation in web, mobile, and desktop, but we can use some at more places. Okay, so for today's session, okay, we're gonna focus on the on web-based automation testing with the robot framework. Okay, so there are so many tools in our market for web-based automation testing. One is UFT, other is Selenium. Okay, and there are more Test Complete, IBF, Rational Functional Tester. So there are different market players, different competitors out there for the tools to do this automation of the web-based application. Okay, we are focusing on this robot framework. As Praveen mentioned in the starting, it's kind of a open source, so you don't have to pay any licenses to use this robot framework. Okay, since it's an open source, so you can modify, you can tweak it in any way, and you got a lot of support from the community, online community for this guy. So yeah, so and second thing, it's a keyword driven framework, so where you can just simply write your steps to perform the testing in a plain English language. So it will be quite user friendly to read and to understand what's kind of task you are doing. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna talk about what are the components of framework. But before that, I'm gonna explain you one stuff which is like a uh, uh, what are the components we're gonna use while we're gonna do the web-based testing. Okay, so with robot framework, okay, we're gonna use Selenium library. Okay, so this is one of the library developed for the robot framework so that you can work on your web-based testing. Okay, let me open their website, robotframework.org. Okay, if you want to read some, get some more information about robot framework and what it does, so you can definitely go to their website, say robotframework.org. Okay, so you can see there's the open automation framework, acceptance testing, test driven for RPA, robot automation processing. You can go through all those stuff. Okay, so what I'm mostly concerned about is this libraries. Okay, and I'm gonna go to this external library. So for web-based testing, we will be using this Selenium library, which it says like web-based testing library that uses popular Selenium tool internally. So as I mentioned in I think few minutes back, like we have different technologies in which we can use. One is Selenium, one is using UFT. There is a test complete, right? There are different tools and technologies. So Selenium is one of the technology to automate web browsers. Okay, so you can see the official website for Selenium, selenium.org. Okay, this is also an open source, so anything related to Selenium, what it does, how it does, we can always refer to this website, right? So if I say what is Selenium, it's a Selenium automates browser. I think that's sufficient for me because I'm gonna do web-based testing, so I want to automate my web browser. So we're gonna use Selenium, and we're gonna use Selenium with Selenium library, and we're gonna use Selenium library in what? In robot framework. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll and install these components like Selenium library and robot framework on your system. Okay. So the basic prerequisite for robot framework, like it is implemented using Python. Okay, and if you want to use Java platform, then you can use Jython, and if you want to use .NET platform, you can use Iron Python. Okay, but the core framework, I will prefer Python because it's a basic support which is given by robot framework for the Python. These are just implementation of Python in different languages. Say in .NET, Iron Python, they have just created some Iron Python so that you can have some Python functionality in .NET, and similar with this Jython for Java. So why not use the Python? So first of all, you have to have the Python on your system. So to check that if you have Python, just open your command prompt. I'm using Mac OS, so I'm using terminal here. But if you are a Windows user, then you will be using command prompt. Okay, just open command prompt and type Python. Okay, and hit enter. And if you get something like that, it's like you have the Python, it means like you have Python on your system installed. But if you don't have the Python on your system, then you will get, say, Python is not recognized command, something like that, some error message. Okay, so in that case, you need to install Python on your system. From where you will get Python, just go to python.org and just download. So simple. Okay, click on this guy and you got an installer and you download it. Since I already have it, so I won't do it again. Okay, once you have the Python, then you need to install those robot framework and those components. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so I have written down some instructions for that. Okay, so let me maximize it. Okay, so first, once you have the Python, so it says like you need to have a Python. Okay, and then to install, once you install Python, and then this that you will be getting pip by default with the Python. Okay, so pip is nothing but it's a package to it's a software, or you can say package to install other packages on using for Python. Okay, so to install a robot framework, you just say pip install robot framework and use pip to install these libraries. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do it. Okay, so once you have everything, let me close it and do it again. Okay, so you just say pip install robot framework. Okay, and you will hit enter, you will get it. So it says requirement already satisfied, which means it says you already have the robot framework. But if you don't have the robot framework, it's gonna go to your it's gonna start gathering the packages from the internet, and it's gonna install it by default. Okay, so to make sure like your installation is successful and you have everything right there, you type pip list to see if the robot framework is actually installed on the system. Just type this command, say pip list, and it had hit enter. You will see that you will have a robot framework here. Okay, and let's go here. Let me clear this. Now, once you have the robot framework, then you need to install the Selenium library as well. Okay. Uh, Someone is saying something. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so once you have the robot framework, then you can install the Selenium library. So the command to install is pip install robot framework Selenium library. That's it. Okay. Pip install robot framework selenium library. So hit enter. You're gonna see it says requirement already satisfied. But if you don't have it, it's gonna go to the internet, download the packages for this guy and install it. Okay, so how to get these commands, like how I know which command to run, what command to run, right? So I'll tell you from where you get it. Okay, so just Google it, PYPY. So I think, yeah, PYPI. So it's a pypi.org. So it's an index for Python packages. So all the Python packages that is available, they will be stored here on this website. Okay. You open this website, it says just search any package that you want. So I'm gonna search robot framework. Okay. So it gave me this guy. So if you click it, you're gonna get the command. You see, so it's the same command that I used. Okay. Similarly for Selenium library for robot framework, Selenium library. Okay, Selenium. Okay, this guy. So again, you're gonna get the command from here. So you can install all the packages that you want. Okay. So now I have basic setup on my system. Okay, and I would like to try robot framework and see how it runs and how it works. Okay, so for robot framework, you can use any editor, any IDE that you can use. So people prefer PyCharm. People prefer, there's a PyCharm IDE which is basically developed for Python. So you can use PyCharm as well, and there's a IDE called Write. Okay, so I think I have listed down those as well here. Okay, yeah. So you have a PyCharm IDE. Okay, and then or you can use Eclipse with Red plugin. So PyCharm is IDE for Python, and you can use this plugin for that. They have their own robot framework support plugin. Similarly, you can use Eclipse with Red plugin. So I'm gonna use Eclipse with Red plugin because I'm more comfortable with Eclipse, and it has a nice GUI for robot framework as well. But these PyCharm and other IDEs are IDEs as good as this guy. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one, this IDE Eclipse with Red IDE. So for robot framework, you can use anything, like you can type robot framework command in a text file and you can still run your test cases or tests, right? But I'm using IDE so that it can enhance my script creation, right? So that I can write more number of scripts in a given number of time. Because a plain text editor will not give me IntelliSense. It will not highlight my errors if I made any errors in my scripting and everything. Okay, so let's not waste too much time on all this stuff. Okay, we can figure it out later. So I'm gonna quickly go and create a project. Okay, new project in Eclipse. I'm gonna create a robot framework project. Okay, let's go here. Oh, I have here. See, so I say robot project. gonna click next. I'm gonna give the name, say demo session, say finish. Okay, nothing happened. Okay, close this. Now I have an empty project here which says you have one XML file. That's it. That's pretty much it. So let's do one thing. Let's create our first robot framework test script file. Okay. Click, click, and new. Oh, sorry. I need to change the perspective because right now it's changed. It's by default set to Java. So let me change it so that it can only show me the options for the robot framework. You can say Windows, perspective, open perspective, and others. From here, I'm gonna select robot framework. Okay, that's cool. So now I'm in robot framework perspective. So I'll say new. Now you see I have options to create robot file and everything. Okay. So what can I do? I'm gonna create a robot test suite file which gonna contain multiple test cases. So right now I'm just gonna do one demo test. So to print something on system so that we can see everything is working fine. Then we'll switch back to our PPT. Okay, to read more about that. Okay. So someone said it's too small fonts. Let me try to increase it. Okay. So, is it fine now? I think should be good. I think it should be good now. Okay. So let's go here. Perfect. So I'm gonna create some my first test. It has extension dot robot. So let's finish it. Okay. So by default, it added me a section called test cases. I'm gonna say uh, test case 01, my first, first test case. Okay, this is the name of my test case, and then I'm gonna give some documentation what it gonna do. What's the purpose of this test? To demo first test. That's the documentation. Now let's write something to test if everything is working fine. So I'm gonna log something to my console so that I can see if it is working or not. So there is a keyword called log2 console, which is built into robot framework. How I get it? So I just say log2, and then I hit control space to see what are the options available for this guy, and it says me like you have to use log2 console. Okay, so I can clearly say logs given message to console. By default use standard output stream. So let's not go to the technical details. Let's try to log some message. Say welcome to Canada IT. I'm gonna save it and right click and let me run this test. Okay, right click, run it. So that because now I say log to console and I have a console window here at the bottom and it should log something, say welcome to Canada IT to my console. Okay, run test. Okay, it says so many stuff like it created some files, output files. Let me maximize it. Okay, it created some output files, log files. We're gonna talk about those later on. But yeah, you see that it says demo session. So I'm in a demo session project. This is my first test suite. I'm in a first test suite, and this is my test case 01. So, and this is a documentation of the test case that I gave here. And what it did welcome to Canada IT, whatever we just printed. Okay, so here we go. So we have a one successful run, which is just as a hello world. We say hello world test case. Okay, let me see if someone has any questions in the chat. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, cool. So no one, everyone is good. Okay, let me go back to my PPT and then we gonna discuss some few stuff about robot framework. Then we're gonna try to do some stuff on browser. So that's the main purpose of this guy. Okay, so as you see, we are continuously using the name robot framework, right? So what is a framework? Why we do not framework, right? So ideally, we can have a quick game, but essentially, as it's an online session, we cannot have it right now. Okay, but yeah, so there are a few features and components that a framework should have, like why do we need a framework? What is a framework? So framework is nothing but it's a guidelines, are rules and regulations about your coding. So about your coding, about your project. Okay. So those guidelines will be like how you're gonna create the scripts. So what are the different folders you're gonna use while you are creating your scripts? How you're gonna organize your project? Where you're gonna put your test data? What are the different ways you're gonna run your test cases? What are the different reporting structures that you're gonna follow? Right? All these different questions, they will be answered in your framework, and everyone should adhere to that. The reason for following a framework is like, say today, I have some guidelines for my framework, and say I have to develop my scripts in such a way like all the scripts should go to one file called test scripts, right? Based on the functionality. So, and all the reusable components should go to some reusable folder structure. Okay, so that whenever the new person joins, or someone else has to do the same work, they should be able to figure it out, where are the script files, where are the resources files, where are the test files, what's the flow of your script execution, from where you are picking the resources, from where you are picking the data, how you are sending the reports, everything. So it's a very easy to maintain and easy to upgrade. So I just try to highlight few features. So I think we just discuss about this. It's like a project and folder structure. So you're gonna have a nice project and folder structure for your project, and you're gonna keep some common reusable files. You're gonna have some folders, quite common files and reusable files, the library files, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and then you're gonna define some rules around reporting structure, how you're gonna report it. So similar to all these guys, right? And then you're gonna define some rules so that it's very easy to maintain. It's a cost effective and easy to maintain, right? So for example, just say there's a small change in your application. I'll give you one example. Okay, so for a bank, or for anything, okay, you have to log in to your application. Okay, and you have to log in, enter some value in your user ID, and you have to enter some value in your user password. Okay, and then you click sign in, and you will be logged into the application, and then after that your next flow of the test cases. Okay, so this is the main entry point of your scripts. So you have, say, 100 or 1,000 scripts for your project, and each and every script is going through the same entry point, which is login to the application. Okay, and now just in case in future something changed in your login page, say, uh, instead of user ID, now it's a user name. Okay, and it's a change in your application. Developers or the business requirement, they think like we're gonna change it, so there will be a change in your application. So now with this change, all your 1,000 scripts are getting impacted, right? Because this is a one single entry point which is changed, and now you have to make changes to your all the 1,000 scripts, right? So if you do not define a framework, then in that case you have to go to each and every script one by one, then you have to change it in the 1,000 places, right? So that's what we don't want, right? We want to cut down the repetitive task, right? We want to avoid these kind of scenarios. So we're going to design our framework in such a way, like if something change in one component, and just change it at a one place, and it should reflect at all the 1,000 or 100 places where you have used that component, right? So that's what means is cost effective to maintain. So like if something changed and some maintenance has to be done in your application, in your scripts, then it should be cost effective. It should be scalable enough. So means there are new components that you want to add your framework, and new functionality, new enhancements to your application, and your framework should be capable enough to take care all of those requirements. Okay, so these are small features, and those components of a framework, that why do we need a framework. Okay, And why we use a robot framework, I think we have already discussed it. So, but we can go through it once again. So, like how it's differentiated from the other market players. Okay, so it's a generic automation framework. So, and you can use it for Windows, for Mac, and Linux. So, all these operating systems you can use it. As you can see, I'm using a Mac operating system. You can use it for your desktop operating system like Windows, and then you can use it for Linux operating system as well. It has a keyword driven approach. Like we already saw one keyword, which is called log to console, which is pretty easy. It's in a plain English language, right? So it's a keyword driven approach. It's very readable and it's very you don't need to be a technical guy to understand and create your script. Okay, it's implemented with Python. So yeah, also runs on Jython. We already discussed these. Okay, it's open source. Sorry about that. It's an open source, and these are small stuff that you can go through on Google online. Okay, developed by Nokia and Slack, LinkedIn groups. They have active community. They're very supportive. So any questions you have regarding the robot framework, any challenge you are facing, just put it any of these medias. So maybe on Google groups, they have a Google group as well. Just put it there. There are a lot of community people going to help you. You're going to get a lot of answers to your queries. Okay. So as this robot framework, we're gonna do it for web, okay, right now in a couple of minutes. But this robot framework can be extended to other applications as well. So you can do the mobile applications. You can also automate a mobile application using robot framework. You can also automate your desktop application. You can also automate your API applications. There are a lot of stuff you can do with this robot framework. Okay, how they do it? So if you can see, they have their generic framework here in the middle. So they have some data driven, some data structure. So but over there they have some generic framework. They call it as a robot framework, and then they have the test libraries for your system under test. So using these test libraries are different from this robot framework libraries. I'm going to show you again these libraries, what these are. So on top of robot framework, you will use different test libraries based on your system under test. Say if my system under test is web, so I'm gonna use Selenium libraries. If my system under test is mobile, I'm gonna use Appium libraries. If my system under test is a web API, is a API, I'm gonna use some API libraries over there. Okay, I'm gonna show you what are the different libraries these guys support. Okay, let me see if someone has any questions. Okay. Okay, okay, fine. Nobody has any question. So I'll go to libraries. So these are the standard libraries which comes in built in the robot framework. So you can use all these libraries to work with your projects. So these are built in, and it has a they have built in all the stuff. Like you don't have to code anything. Believe me, we'll talk about these guys. Then these are the test libraries which are developed by open source community. So we are using this guy, right? And as I mentioned, if you are using REST, if you're using testing REST, you can use REST instances. Then there will be some DB from MongoDB. They have some libraries, and then for Appium libraries for iOS. So they have a lot of stuff. So these are the different applications that can be supported with this robot framework. So they have a white library which supports the desktop automation. They have SSH library. They have a lot of stuff. Okay. So okay, let me go back to my PPT. So this is fine. Yeah. So we already discussed this guy. Okay. And now I'll go back and discuss about what rather than discussing about this, let's go with the real example. Let's create one script to open a browser, and then type something. Say go to google.com and then type something in it. Okay, and then we're gonna discuss these guys. Okay, so I try to make it mix of coding and mix of PPT so that you guys don't get bored. Okay. Okay, I have never used Robotium. Okay, I know I don't know what is Robotium. Okay, I have worked on robot framework, but yeah, if you want answers to that, what's want to difference between this, I can get it for you. It's Pankaj. Okay, thanks for the question, Pankaj. Okay, So let's go and say I'm gonna create a one more test, maybe not in this guy, maybe in another file. Okay, robot test suite file, say demo web test. Okay. So test case 01. Mhm. Test Google navigation. So I'm gonna say documentation test case to navigate to Google. Okay. Okay. So now I'm gonna interact with web-based application. So remember we installed one library called Selenium library. So and we know that we have to use this library if you want to work with web-based application. Okay. So I'm gonna import some libraries here. So in settings, I'm gonna add some settings. So it's a library. I'm hitting control space. I type some stuff and I hit some control space so that it gives me IntelliSense. Okay. So I'm gonna say this guy. So if you see, these are the built-in libraries supported by this guy. I'm gonna use Selenium library. See, I'm gonna save it. Okay. So now since I have it, so I can use the keywords from this library file. Okay. Let's open a browser. Okay, and then we'll close it after, or we just open it and we'll see if it's actually opening or not. Say I type open control space, you see it says me like open browser. So it's from Selenium library. If you see the argument, it asks you to URL and the browser name that you want to open. Okay, so I'm gonna do https google.ca. Then I'm gonna open Safari. I'm working on Safari. If you are working on Windows, and you can open IE or you can open Chrome. I'm gonna show you what are the different options to put here for opening those browsers. Okay, open browser, and then say after opening a browser, Google Chrome, I'll say capture page screenshot. I'm gonna see capture screenshot and see if this is there or not. Okay, and that's it. So this is a small test I'm gonna do. Okay, up and then we'll see after that. Gonna run it. Let me run it. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can see it opened google.com in Safari browser. I have to stop this session because my test is complete. You see, because I haven't closed that browser, so that's why it's already open. It says test passed and nothing. We haven't put anything into the console, so it's empty. Okay, and we have these three files over here. Okay, now, 1 second. I think we have a message. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so let's go to these files. So like what are these files, and how we can use it for our automation. So whenever you run a robot test, right, it's gonna create three different files. One is called output file, the other is called log file, then one is report file. Okay, so report file is nothing but it's a HTML file which shows you like how many test cases you have ran, what was the scripts you ran, which in which test suite it was, which project it was. Okay, so that you can present it to your management. So let me open this guy. Okay, and these reports, if you see the location, so it's in my Eclipse workspace and it's in under demo session. So which is nothing but this project it is. So I can see those files here as well, say log file, output file. Okay, so let's open this guy. I can click here, right click here, okay, and open it, or yes, or you can open this guy. So you see it's not opening because of IE. So let's do this IDE Eclipse. So let me open with web browser. Okay, now it's fine, right? Because it's HTML file. So let me expand it. You can see. So it says session summary report. How many critical tests you ran? One. How many passed? How many failed? What time it took? And what are by project, if you run the projects in two different projects test case, then you have a project by stats. And then this is my test suite name. I ran it in test suite, so you got a stats for different test suites. Okay, I just clicked on that guy, so accidentally I clicked on that guy. One second, let me go back again. Sorry, HTML. Okay, yeah, so you can see it has a one test case, one pass. How much time it took? It took only 5 seconds. Okay, so let's go here. I'm gonna see what happened here. So if I click here, it's gonna show me, like, if it failed, it's gonna show me some messages here, like what was the cause of failure. Okay, we're gonna try to fail it as well. Okay, so this is just kind of a report that you can present to your management team. Say, okay, I ran 100 tests or 20 tests. How many failed? How many passed? Then you can have your analysis from here. Like, just give it to your management team. Say, you can take a decision. Okay, and let me go back to the other file, which is log file. So basically, the log file is the one which you will be using when you want to see actually what happened in your test, because this report just only gives you the stats, right? But sometimes if your scripts are failing, then you have to debug what's happening in your scripts. Then definitely you have to have a look at the log files. I'm gonna open this guy with HTML, and then I'm gonna open this. Okay, so you see it's the same summary, but the only difference is you will see the step-by-step execution of your robot trim test cases here. Okay, I'm gonna open it. So it's gonna show me, okay, under that demo web test, you ran test case 01 with this particular name, and it took some time. Okay, and I open this guy. So it says, like, these are the steps you performed. So this is like open browser with this guy and this guy, and then you captured a screenshot. Okay, it shows me the screenshot of that page. So all the step-by-step execution of your test case will be here in the log reports. Okay, and then we are left with this guy. This is an XML file. Okay, so this file is created by Robot Framework, and using this XML file, Robot Framework create this report files and this HTML file. Because whatever you're gonna do in your test case, whatever the results, everything, it's gonna put it in this XML file. So ideally, you will not be using this file at all. But if you want to see the content, let me open it. So if you see, it's like a XML file. You want to see a source, yep, you can see it. Okay, so this is a small one of the small tests that we did. We just open a browser, and then we just capture a screenshot. Okay, and let's go back to our PPT and see what's left. Then we'll do some more stuff, like open a browser, typing some usernames and passwords, and then we will go for the question and answers. Okay. Okay, this is the one I wanted to show you guys, because this is what we are doing. This is a very high level flow of your program, that the one we just ran. Okay, so you have on your script file. Okay, so your that script file, it called your Selenium or Appium library, right? And then it, in turn, those libraries are based on your Selenium web drivers and your Appium core libraries. Okay, and it called those, and then in turn, those libraries are depending on the web drivers and Appium servers, and using that they execute on Chrome driver, Safari drivers, and mobile drivers. So this is a high level. This is not the exact figure that you are looking for, but yeah, to have a high level understanding how your test ran, how your browser was communicated. So this is very high level detail of that. Okay, from your script you call this. Okay, okay, I think we have discussed these guys. Okay, yeah, we have discussed these guys. Up. Now let's go back and do some more stuff. Okay, let me check if we have any questions. Yeah, so these are so you can have we have some keywords which you can use, which you can use, you compare with actual and expected. I'm gonna show you that as well, but let's give me 5 minutes, so I'll wrap up some one more stuff so that you can have something. Okay, then we're gonna answer your question. So I'm gonna try to go to google.ca. Okay, and then gonna type this is test whatever it is. Okay, cool. So let's go here and to my Eclipse. So I'm already opening this guy, right? So let me type it. So to type something in your browser text fields, okay, so use input text. Okay, input space text. That's it. So over here you have to give the locator of that field and then whatever text you want to push. So I want to give, say, I love automation. Okay, and where I want to put it here. So let's get the locator. So locator I'm gonna use name is equal to q. So locator I'm gonna use name is equal to q. Okay, so it's gonna type some stuff. We're gonna open a browser, it's gonna type some stuff over there, capture a screenshot, and then let's close the browser as well. Okay, so let me run this guy and then I'll tell you how I got to know about these commands, these keywords, and then we're gonna answer that question like what is the keywords to do validations. Okay, so let me run this guy first and then we will go from there. Okay, yep, you see it happened too fast. Yeah, but everything is done. Okay, let me sleep here for some time, say 5 seconds, so that you guys can see and then we'll see the result. Okay, save it. Yep, so you see that right over here, so it did some stuff. Okay, now it passed. Okay, so this is pretty much about, like, this is a very basic program. You can do all the stuff. Okay, how I got to know about these keywords, what are the keywords I can utilize, I can reuse, right, for writing my test. So if you see, once you import this library, you're gonna get some robot reference library files here which says Selenium library. You open it, you're gonna see all the keywords which are being supported by this file, this library. You will see all the keywords which are getting depreciated. That's fine, but yeah, you wanna see all those guys. Clicking a button, clicking an element, you can see from here. Okay, and there was one question like for validation, like how you can match the expected versus actual, right? So one is like you can use these guys. Page should contain, element should contain fields, right? Page should contain fields. Page should not contain those stuff. Okay. So these are like if you want to do some browser validations. Okay. But if you are looking for validations that's just for comparing some strings, right? Comparing some two values. So you can always go to Robot Frameworks string library. Okay. So should be title, should be a string, should be string, should string. So you can use these guys as well. Okay. And there's few keywords which are in built-in library. Give me a second. So should not contain, should contain, should not contain, should be equal as number, should be equal as integer, should be equal as strings. So you can use all these guys. So all this documentation you can read it on Google or online. Okay. So say I'm showing this one guy should not be equal as numbers, right? Similarly, so say first number, second number, what are the error message you want to give, what are the true, everything, like. So it's a pretty it hides all the complexity of coding behind these keywords, and eventually these keywords have some coding in the end, but yeah, it hides all that stuff so that you don't have to worry about the internal working of this guy. So you can just straight away use these guys. For example, say control space should be equal as numbers, should be equal as strings. So I'm gonna say first string, right, and this is second string. So ideally this test case should fail because both strings are different. If you see both string, this is the first string, sorry, should be equal as strings. So only this test case should fail because these strings are different. Okay, if you want to see, let's try to run it. Okay, you see it's failed, right? Let's show it. So if you wanna, it shows you like here, like first string is not equal to second string, and you can get the same thing in the report as well. Okay, let's show you. So once it's failed, it's gonna look like that. It will be something red. It's gonna show what failed. Say should be equal as string. First string should be, so this is fine. So ideally it should fail and it's failing. Okay, so can we do this type of actions? How? Yeah, this is fine. We can do this type of action in Selenium WebDriver. What is the special? Yeah, so for Pankaj, so Selenium WebDriver, so it's a inbuilt. It's using the Selenium WebDriver only. Okay, so even if you are working with Selenium WebDriver, then you have to use a certain frameworks. Say you will use JUnit, right? You will use TestNG, right? So you have to do, and you have to use certain languages, say Java, Python, C Sharp, right? Over here, and in that case, you have to take care of all the ifs and buts, all the exception handling, everything you have to do it by yourself. Over here robot framework does it for you. You don't have to do all those stuff. It works as a framework as well, but it also gives you a nice feature of these guys. The second thing, it's a keyword driven, so it's a pretty easy to code. Even the one which has a very less technical knowledge, and or I will say no knowledge of coding language, they can still try to see what's going on in your scripts and what's happening in your scripts. I hope I answered your question. Okay.